coming here today. Amen. Wow. Amen. If we get everybody to kind of get closer to the center, because we're going to have stuff on the TV as well too. The edges are fine, but if you can get as close to the center as you can, that'd be great. We are just so blessed here today. We've got our friends from our London church, London Impact London, which is Impact London is better, yep. And they have a great process for basically onboarding new visitors and bringing people into the family in a very gentle and very easy way. And it's worked for them, and I know it's going to work for us. So I'm excited to have Madeline here. Everyone give Madeline a big hand for being here and coming down. I know we're going to be blessed, and this is going to be stuff that we're going to be able to use right away. So it's going to be exciting stuff. Thanks for everyone for coming, and amen. We're going to be blessed today.
Yeah, thanks for taking up your Saturday morning to come to church. I just want to say I really love Pastor Joel and Pastor John. Every time I come around you guys, I just feel really loved and no judgment. And it's just like there's a gentleness about you guys in this house. And I'm really excited that you asked me to come down. So, so today, if you can't tell what we're going to be talking about today, I am down from Impact London to talk about our specific systems and structures for guest care, and then what is next steps. But before we jump into all that fun, in classic Impact fashion, we're going to start our meeting with a fun icebreaker. So my mom's going to be handing out find someone who, and we're going to play bingo. So there are a couple of rules. Hands up if you don't have a pen. I have a bunch of pens in my hands. Okay. Yeah, if you did get a goodie bag, which it's one per couple we're going to start with, and then there might be enough for everybody. Whoop. Some pens. Oh, no, you guys can each do a bingo card, yeah. Anybody need a pen? Yeah. Pens? All right. There we go. Okay, so a couple rules to the bingo is that you can have a person only sign your card once. If we are not successful with that rule, then you can have the same person sign a couple times. Once you have a full line, a horizontal, vertical, or diagonal, you guys are welcome to yell bingo. And I do have to let you know that there is a prize for this fastest person. There's a little bit of speed, and you guys have to get up and moving. So I'm going to count to 3, and then I'm going to play some music, and you guys, the fastest person to get a diagonal line, we'll see who learns some things about each other today. All right, on your marks, get set, go. Oh, you have to find a person that has done something on here. So find somebody that was born in here. And then find somebody that, yeah, and you'll lock it off until you get bingo. So that's what you do. Yeah, you just tee off until you get a line, horizontal, vertical, or diagonal. Just scratch it. You ask one person that was until we get one right. I don't know. All of these questions till we get one right. So you have to find somebody who loves spicy food. Find somebody who loves watching rom-coms. a bingo winner? Let me see your card.
Sprinting's disallowed.
We do. Huh? No. What's your name?
Avery.
Avery. Okay. Okay, we do have a winner, but keep going. I have a runner-up prize. No, not everybody. Not everybody. Have you done a lot of these things? Like, do you like sushi? Do you love spicy food?
I like sushi.
Oh, do you?
You want me to sign somewhere?
Have you been to, what does this say? Has been to, ooh, have you been rock climbing?
No. He falls and get hurt.
Yeah, I know.
So am I allowed to ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
Okay, what on here is you?
Okay. Ooh, I love watching rom-coms.
Okay, and,
Yep.
and you have to sign it now?
Yep,
Okay.
perfect. All right, do I have a runner-up yet? Who's my runner-up? Say bingo. Oh, bingo, awesome. Okay, guys, everybody can grab a seat. All right, our first winner was Miss Avery. Round of applause for Miss Avery. All right, and Miss Karen was the runner-up winner. Don't worry, there will be more opportunities to sneak some candy. Who loves playing plain bingo? Plain bingo? Yes. Okay. Who learned some things about people today? Yeah, learned a couple things. Well, thanks for being great sports. Okay, so we're gonna jump in. We're gonna be here till about 1 o'clock, but we'll take a small break at 11:30. So, all right, a little bit about myself, just briefly. So I was raised a church kid. So I grew up going to church. My name is Madeline, and I've been going to Impact Church for 15 years. And I've been employed at Impact. It's the times fly. The pandemic just shot you ahead 5 years. And whatever, if you're, whatever you were doing, working, relationship, marriage, whatever. Yeah, so it's 6 years now at Impact Church. And what I do, I wear a lot of different hats. So I oversee discipleship, prayer team. I oversee small groups with Pastor Carl. I oversee young adults and youth. And then I also oversee guest care and next steps, which is all about guest services. And if you ask me of my job, what is my favorite part of the job, it's this. Like, I would do this for full time. I love people. And growing up a church person, which most of you I think have, it's very unique for us to say in some circles that we still love going to church, and I just love the structure of church, the family of God, and all churches are going to have, I think my mic, there we go. All good. We're good? Okay. I feel like I'm cutting in and out. Yeah, all churches have, they can be messy, they're fun, because they're full of humans, right? And so we have found a couple of different system instructions. And Pastor Carl and Cheryl, you know them really well. They've been doing this for over 35 years. And so we're going to learn some things today about structures and systems for guest care and next steps. But before we I feel like we can even talk about that is that all of it is only effective because it's couched in culture. Like, that's important. Yeah, my mom's got a handout. She's going to go around and give you handout. You guys can make notes on it. But yeah, so culture, I think, is everything. There's a quote by Peter Ducker that says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So culture, it's this invisible thing. You can't see it, naked eye, but it actually can steer the ship. It's determinative, and it defines a lot. And culture can consistently undermine values, missions, and strategy. Even if you have, like, all of your, Pastor Carl likes to call it plumbing. He says plumbing and poetry is in the church, right? So the plumbing is all of your, how you do things, your website, the structure system. And then there's the poetry, right? Which is the culture part. And you need both in order to be, to have that synergy and to be really effective. Carrie Nyhoff says, every church has a culture, whether you know it or not. Mine does, yours does. And it can either be a healthy one or not, but I can promise you that your culture is, in fact, impacting every area of your ministry. So it's not even just your culture is affecting, how guests come in. It's affecting kids' care, right? Your prayer, your worship team. And we have a standard of excellence, so we want to have an excellent, healthy culture. And it kind of reminds me of the scripture in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 when it's talking about love. And it says, you can speak in tongues of men and angels. You can have all the plumbing, but if you don't have love, you are like a clanging cymbal. Almost not useless, but ineffective maybe, which is a pretty powerful statement. So one of the top organizations that is really well known in the world, secular, that has mastered guest care. Does anybody want to shout out and guess? I feel like I want to throw Kenya. Mastered guest care in the world. Really well-known company. You guys would all know it. Disney. That's right. Is it on there? Oh, okay, great. It's Disney. I don't know if you guys know this, but million-dollar companies Disney has come up with world-renowned, like a whole university on it's called guestology. But this is what Walt says. He says, whatever you do, do it well. Do it so well that when people see you do it, they will want to come back and see you do it again, and they will want to bring others and show them how well you do it. So, like I was talking about, they came up with their own term even, guestology. And what is guestology? It is the whole system on how to provide people with the most excellent guest care. They've mastered it. I used to work for a Disney company for about 5 months. And it even starts with down to their staff members. They call them cast members. And so one of the really effective tools that Walt, he's the one who created it, is that you tell stories, right? You tell stories, and then everything kind of comes in line and tells the same story, has the same language and everything. And it reminds me the scripture in Colossians 3:17. It says, okay, whatever you do, do it well. Colossians 3:23 to 24 says, whatever you do, sounds familiar, the Bible had it first, work at it with all of your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ that you are serving. Like, whether you're scrubbing toilets, whatever you're doing. And you guys, you could all be doing this really well already, but this is just a good reminder, because folks have been going to church for a long time. It's really awesome because it's ingrained in us. It's habitual that we come to church, we open the doors, we make the coffee, we say hello, we say good morning. And then sometimes it's just a good refresher reminder of like, oh my gosh, what I'm doing here is I'm sowing a seed. And I love to clean. When I'm cleaning toilets, I understand it's worship to the Lord. And the next person that comes into the stall is going to be welcomed to atmosphere of peace. I'm not kidding. Like, you're creating an atmosphere. You're creating a culture in everything that you do. It seeps into everything. And this is really interesting. I was listening again to Disney podcast and the guestology and how it all came about. And it originated before all the theme parks, before anything. Walt Disney, he would go to the parks with his kids. They would be playing, and he would sit on the park bench with his notepad, and he would begin to take notes, and he would ask himself, he would observe, what are the families doing? What are the parents? What are the kids doing? And he would make notes, and he would say to himself, how can I make this family experience better? And this is how he eventually would create the most magical parks, fun experience for the whole family. And it started with he's on a notepad and pen and paper and just taking down and brainstorming. How can this experience be better? How can it be really magical? And I love this. So if we as a church are asking questions, what would it look like if churches had such a powerful culture or guest care experience that people left transformed from the inside out? So you go to, I'm going to refer to Disney a lot in this first part. If you go to Disney, shout out some things that when even I say the name, what are some thoughts that go through your mind or some feelings about Disney? The Disney theme parks. Excellence, yes. Excitement. I like that one. One more. Say it again. Thrill. That's right. Wonder. It doesn't matter if you're 2 years old or you're 80 years old. You can't help but even walk to the theme park, whatever, hear people talk about it, eyes light up. It's like, it's magical, and it's like, anything is possible. And I did school I went to California, and I did 3 years of ministry school at Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry. Bethel has a culture. So you walk in, and Bethel is like, anything is possible. Like, that's what's in the air. That is the culture. I walk in, and the greeter almost starts prophesying over you. Worship is happening. You're worshiping. Somebody's on your shoulder. They're prophesying over you. And it's a stranger. Then I'm walking to go to the bathroom, and it was like, for 3 years straight, it's just there's this constant inpouring of like, what does the Lord think about you? Everything is possible. And the prophetic, and it's like, anything is attainable with the Lord. Like, you have a desperate situation, it's not impossible. And that is a culture that they've worked on. And it starts, with it starts with the head, right? And then in everything that you do, we're going to talk about some practical ways on how to implement healthy culture. But what is Elim's culture? I love it. I was on your website, and I saw welcome it's on the very first page. And then I come in and it says, you are welcome here. That's all speaking stuff. People see, they see everything. So, biblically speaking, what contributes most to the godly atmosphere of a church's culture is how and to what extent it reflects the character of Christ. John 13:35, it says, by this all you will know that you are my disciples, is that if you have love for one another. Yeah, people are going to notice, what your culture is. So, all right, so if we were to define, what are some practical ways in defining culture? So, you are communicating everywhere at all times your core values. So I just want to take you, define. The first practical tool that you, in creating healthy culture, is to define what it is. So on our website, I'm just going to take you to our website. So right here, you want to scroll down to right here, this section here. If a new person jumps onto the website, the first thing they're reading is, you are invited. Then it says, we are excited to invite you to join us at Impact Church. It's a laid back, welcoming space where you can meet new people, find a little inspiration. We're looking forward to meeting you and to sharing this experience together. Then it says, be sure to stop by and grab a coffee. And then if you click I am new here, look at this. We can't wait to meet you. It's almost obnoxious, the amount of over communicating that's done on this website. Of like, please come, we're happy to have you. Welcome. We love that you're here. Look at this. Meaningful conversations, everything. We believe in the power of community. We're excited about the opportunity to meet you. So that, number one, website. It's being communicated and communicated. Number two is that we have a welcome package, and in our welcome package, guess what's in here? Our values are in here. Right here. Our very first value is connect. Connection, family, integration. We want to connect with you. We believe that Jesus created family and that it is a good thing, you know? And so it's in the welcome package. Next thing is that we talk about it right at offering time. We say, hey, if you're a new guest here, welcome. So it's being from the stage. We're talking about how we are very happy that they're present. And then in next steps, week number 4, we're better together. And so the overarching communication that's happening all the time, whether it starts from the parking lot, you get to our website, you get your bag, and then you go to next steps and you pick up your kids. Everything is saying, we are so happy that you are here. So you want to define. That's the first thing you want to do. Practical way to create healthy culture is to define it and then have that language seep everywhere. The second thing that you want to do, or the second practical way, is to demonstrate. So when we run through all of the training processes, is that in all of your onboarding and all of your training, or you're showing people how to do stuff, is that it's right here. All of our volunteer positions, they all get one of these. It all looks the same. It goes responsibilities, application process, but at the very top it says goal. And so this is just for my cafe team, is provide a welcoming atmosphere in the cafe area on Sunday mornings. And so before people are jumping onto our volunteer teams, they're all being trained with the same language and the same processes of we are happy that people are here. Yes, reinforce through onboarding. So our volunteer forms, we have these name tags. This is another thing. So we're demonstrating. So I tried my best when you guys were coming in to just demonstrate what it looks like, starting with a name tag. And my name tag says, how can you help? So I recently went to a church and they had name tags on. And their name tag said VIP. Now, I don't know what VIP stood for, but in my mind, as a first-time guest, VIP, what that spoke to me was very important person. So that automatically, I felt there was like, that person's important. And this might not be what they're communicating, and I'm coming in, I'm like the lost one, you know, that needs help. I'm the VIP with the name tag. You haven't got there yet. And it was just like, you know, some people, not that that's going to be the point that turns people off, but I've been going to church forever, right? And so I'm fine. But then I was like, wow, our name tag says, how can I help you? Like, it's more of like an invitation. Yeah, yes, yeah. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to come under you. And so who knew that a name tag could speak volumes? And yeah, it's really effective because one of the one I Googled like top 5 to 10 reasons why people, first-time guests, don't return. And one of them is signage. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, people will not know where they're going, what they're doing. But when you are demonstrating, when you have it everywhere, like, how can I help you? That is building a culture. The other thing that we do under demonstrate is that we have annual refresh training meetings. And we actually do it with all of the front of house. So I'll get into what front of house is. But refresh meetings are awesome because you might have new people, the old people have gone out, you might have policies and things that have changed. And you have people that forget. Like some people might forget what the safe place policy is for the kids. Like, for example, or just all these little details, right? Because there's updates in the way we do things. So we have an annual refresh meeting, and we even want to do one for all of our areas, like worship, kids church, prayer team, just so it's a good, we're back all on the same page. Like we do conferences for the ACC, right? For every year we've been doing them. So it's good, and it gets people on the same page, and you're encouraging and you're reminding, why are we doing this? We're doing this on purpose with intention. And then I was telling Pastor Joel this on the way in, but demonstrate. Pastor Carl from the stage says everybody is on the guest care team. And so I've seen Pastor Carl come in, and when he sees somebody with, we'll get to this black bag, he goes up to them, and he's on the guest care team. I have deacons. They come. They're on the guest care team. They see a black bag. This means something. And so Pastor Carl will throw it out even during the offering time. And he's like, hey, if you guys see a person with a black guest pack, head on over, meet them. You guys are on the guest care team. So this is a culture that pastors have created where this is not just reserved for somebody who's wearing a name tag. This is for everybody. And we have even put we have a kids sign-in team because it's another point of contact with new guests. We have guest packs at our kids' sign-in stations because it doesn't matter who you are, a volunteer serving on a Sunday morning or not. We need to do it. It's everybody together. It's not us and you or them doing it. It's everybody together. And then lastly, practical outer workings are to designate. And I love this phrase, is put aces in their places. So wherever people are gifted, that's where you want to put them. I heard this when I first came to Impact. Pastor Cheryl would talk about, if you're not gifted in kids' church, then don't do it. And I'm like, what do you mean don't do it? Like, you grow up in church. There's a hole, you fill it. And sometimes, if coffee needs to be made, they can jump on coffee. But it was just really eye-opening. And even from the beginning, the message and the culture is we put people where they are the best fit. So we've had people jump on our volunteer team in the kids' church area, and then a couple weeks later, they're like, wow, that's not for me. I don't feel comfortable there. And they're miserable in there. The kids aren't going to enjoy it. So if I put somebody who's just completely introverted at the front, that's probably not going to go well. But I have stellar, my guest care team, they're like a 5 out of 5. I have and they're business people actually. They're salesmen, some of them. Probably 2 of them are salesmen, one of them works in customer service, and I don't even almost have to explain social cues, you got to feel people out. Some people guess they want to come in and then leave. They don't want to talk to anybody. They're coming in late and they're leaving early on purpose, right? They don't want the guest pack. They don't want to be bothered. They just want to come in, experience the worship or the message, the theology, and then they want to leave. And so when you're on guest care, there's a flex and a flow. And sometimes that's a skill that comes naturally to some people. And so, if you don't have to train that, that's lovely. That's really beautiful. Or, when you have a sound person who's gifted in sound and they can hear that the voices are not matching, one's higher, one's lower, why the background vocal's louder than the main person, And so sometimes, yes, good to serve, but we want to have aces in their places. And it's really awesome because it's seeped in the culture. Week number 2, we talk about who you are. So we're going to do personality test later on. But we want to know who you are, because we understand that God has placed gifts inside of you. So we want to know what they are and how we can best pull them out of you. I like this quote. It says, God loves everyone and wants all of us to know what it means to find genuine belonging and connection within his family. And we believe that one of the ways we can communicate is that they are walking into a welcoming family is to provide them with the most biggest, warmest welcome at the front doors. If you have ever been to Impact Church, there's a really amazing gentleman named Mr. Desmond. And he's as old as Pastor Carl and Cheryl have been there. And is this big, tall, friendly giant. He used to be a boxer in Jamaica. He's got the largest hands. But it's amazing because he's got the biggest smile on. And somebody had walked through our doors, probably like they hadn't been there for almost 20 years. And he's like, that's Jennifer that walked in. I said, who's Jennifer? He's like, oh, she used to come here. And I'm like, wow, you're amazing, Mr. Desmond. Like, he's all about like people and learning names. And he's the unnamed head deacon, Mr. Desmond is. And so, and I also do all of the guest follow-up, and the largest statement that I hear all the time, because I call them in the middle of the week, and I say, hey, we just want to ask how your experience was, and do you have any questions? And I am not kidding you. Probably like 80% of the time, the words that come out of people's mouth is, wow, I felt very welcomed here. And a couple weeks ago in Next Steps, a girl had gone from the parking lot, our guest care, our cafe, went through worship, the service, came to Next Step, and I said, we're just chatting, what's your name, how was your experience, where are you from? She's like, wow, everybody here is so welcoming. And it's almost like it can't help but come out. Now, I don't know if we're forcing it in people's mouths, like, because you walk into our front doors, the largest metal sign, it says, welcome home. Welcome. And so I don't know if it's just almost ingrained in people. That's how you're going to feel when you come here. But it's because intentionally, from the website, we are communicating. That's the culture here, is you belong here. We are happy you're here. And you don't have to change. Like, we did have this welcome statement. And it was like, no matter who you are, married, divorced, whatever your cultural background here, we're happy you're here. Like, welcome to the family. This is not like a list of to-dos that you have to do before you come in. Just come in. Customer care matters. It's an extension of our values and our mission. So again, we're talking plumbing and poetry. The plumbing is all the structures and the systems, which now we're going to jump into, but the culture part is really key. It's the poetry part. And in order for the structures and system to work, you need the culture to come in and the two to marry, because the culture will drive it. Because if you have great structure and system, like, for example, if you have a coffee shop, the structure would be like, you open the doors, you make the coffee, you have the cups, you take the customer's order. But I've gone to, like, there are some coffee shops that I don't even know what I'm ordering, I just know what I'm going to be greeted by, and that is like, hi, oh my God, I love your hair today. Like, where did you get your shirt? That's your color. And then you go into other coffee shops, and I haven't been greeted. Their heads down there's zero eye contact. And so, wow, there's a really big difference in culture from this first coffee shop to the second coffee shop. And I just see these places, and I'm like, man, like, what would the body of Christ look like if we had this amazing, welcoming culture? Like, if we were just determined, or not even welcoming culture, just culture. Like, what does Elim want to say? What does Impact, what does church want to say? And I get these really, like Walt, he's sitting on the bench, and he's observing at the park. How can I make this experience better? And I'm like, wow, Lord, what would it look like if people came in really heavy, really broken, and all I did was smile at them and say, good morning. Like, good morning. I'm so happy that you're here. And that's all that I did. And then they went through service. And I was praying like, Lord, Elim. And I just feel like this sense of like love and gentleness. And there's that verse that says, perfect love casts out fear. And when people walk through Elim's doors, just feel freedom coming on people. Like years of weighty depression, anxiety, whatever, they come and just somebody opening the door and welcoming them, they have already experienced freedom and they haven't even heard a message yet. But your smile is a message. And I was just really encouraged. So I got at the motel last night, just a quick little story. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm at this Super 8 and I'm heading to my floor. And I see somebody who I know from London, Ontario. And I know them because I am the leader of their youth. She has 4 teenage daughters. The oldest one is just leaving for university. She looked really bad. She looked sick. She was in a walker. And I met her on the 4th floor, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Alex. I'm like, hi. She's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, what are you doing here? And she wasn't doing well. So she has a daughter leaving. Her husband is going to the military for the first time, and they haven't been separated in a really long time. She's a really good mom. So she says to me, this is the first time that I have missed my daughter's first day of school. And so she's just like experienced really heaviness. And it's really interesting because she doesn't come Sunday morning. She doesn't come to church, but she brings her girls to the youth group. And she says, you know, if somebody asked me what my beliefs are, I would say that she's like, I'm an atheist. She's like, and my husband, he's an agnostic. But if somebody asked me where we went to church, I would say we go to Impact Church. And I'm just like, I'm floored because I feel like there's this, I know this. Revival is coming. And this word revival, I just believe that there's going to be a really massive influx of people coming to the church or even in their hearts. And it's already happening, like people searching for like answers because they've just searched everywhere else and they've hit the bottom of the barrel and it's not doing it. Like I've tried it and I'm just completely overwhelmed. But then there's like this hope of like, wait, but I still haven't completely leaned into God or Jesus. And so every time though that I meet Alex when she drops her youth off at church, I said, Alex, I rarely see you, but when I do, like you come to a candlelight service, I'm just so happy to see you. Like, and that's literally all I'm just communicating to you. Like, and you know what she can feel? You know the culture she can feel off of me? It's a sense of freedom. It's a sense of joy and peace. I'm like, you might not believe, but it works. Like, if you want an answer, I know his name. And she's like, yeah, so she asked me what I'm doing here. And I tell her, and she's like, and I said, oh yeah, like just picture guest services, She's like, wow, I don't even really know, like, have any understanding what that means. But this is what I do know, is every time I'm around you guys, is that I feel good. And I looked at her and I said, I think this was on purpose. I said, I think that I'm here just to be an encouragement. And language, right, with people, because you want to be sensitive, even at the guest care table, and I'm standing there. You're just always aware, reading people's body language and all that. And so I'm like, I'm here to encourage you and say, you're doing a really good job and everything's going to be okay. And like, it was like a moment, but like, Elim is here, and I just feel like this is really good because, Joel, we were talking about systems and structures and working on expanding even the way to do kids check-in. And it's just like we're preparing like the ark, how there's no flood in sight, no rain to come, but it was going to come. It's coming. And we can all feel it. Like even at our like last ACC meeting, or when Pastor Bruce Monk, he came, and he's talking about, he's over 70, and just the inspiration, how he's talking about, he's amazing. Just 70 years old and just still is in love with Jesus. And he's talking about how these young people, there's just something happening in these young people. They just want to get together and study the Bible. Like, there's like, where's the Bible class? So I'm like, I run small groups. I'm like, we need Bible classes. So I'm like, I'm doing a Bible class on the book of 1 Corinthians for young adult women. I'm like, we got to get this going. People just straight up want to, what does the Bible say, And so this is amazing because we're preparing the structures, the plumbing, the systems in order to prepare for that. It's going to be wild. Just no seats left for people to sit in. And Jesus, when they walk through the doors and they're welcomed by a smile, and sometimes I don't even know if we're going to be able to get our hands on everybody. Like, that's how much. But when perfect love and a smile or a hug can set people free, I'm like, let's go. I'm like, all the avenues, how can we get it done? How can we do it? They're reading our website, or we're in Next Steps, and I'm saying, oh my gosh, you were here on purpose. How did God make you? Who are you? It's all really powerful, and we're doing all of this intentionally and on purpose. So, this is the nitty-gritty of our guest care process. So if anything had to be summarized in all one space, it is greeted, directed, treated, and seated. So we have what we call front of house people. So if you can picture at the top, just this umbrella, it's front of house. So who is a part of front of house are deacons, ushers, guest care, cafe, kids sign in. So this is a team. Like, you have your worship team, within the worship team, vocalists, instrumentalists, sound tech, all that. Okay, so front of house. So we have, remember I said we had annual front of house meetings? These are really important to make sure that everybody is on the same page, because just like, I don't know, you guys might not be sports people, but like in football, there are the different positions, and all of the different positions need each other, rely on each other, and they work on it as a team to get that touchdown. Not that our guests are touchdowns that we just like, yes, got it, points on a board. But just for analogy's sake, this idea of we actually work as a team to do all of these four things: greet, direct, treat, seat. So it's really important that when you're training your front of house, it's not just like, okay, I'm going to meet with the folks at the guest care team, which you probably might want to do like micro meetings to talk about like specifically what it is, or your cafe team when you have it, or your kids check-in or sign-in team, because that's a whole nother thing when you're working with tech. But the language and the culture for all of our front of house are these four things. So the very first thing is greeted, welcoming all of our guests with a smile. Everything speaks to a first-time guest. So according to Forbes, within the first 7 seconds that people meet you, they're already determining in their mind whether or not they're going to stay. They're like, with 7 seconds, that's really fast. And it's fun because there's different strengths. We do the Strength Finder thing. One of the personalities, my mother has it, it's called WOO. And it stands for winning others over. So this is almost like a mission. Like, you have 7 seconds, WOO, to go and win this person over. But from the moment guests step on your property, they're analyzing, and they're tuning in, and they're receiving the message that your church is sending. So your church, sending message whether you realize it or not. The condition of your building, the sign on your lawn, everything is speaking. And so greeting, that's the first thing we're doing. Everybody is greeting. There are some phrases that I train my guest care team to say. So you want to say things like, welcome to church this morning. And I give them the script, because some people, it's just easier. Like, if you memorize these phrases, welcome to church, God bless you, we're glad that you are here this morning. Welcome, remind me what your name is. So this is if you recognize them and you know if they've been here before, but you can't remember their name. You can just say, hey, remind me what your name is. I don't even care if this is their first time. I unashamedly use this line. This is actually my favorite line. Good morning, welcome. Remind me what your name is. We have a congregation now of over 500 people, and it is my job to know over 500 first and last names. And it's a lot, but remind me your name, though, and we'll talk about name after. But, okay, the phrases you want to refrain from using when you're welcoming people is, hey, what's your name? Is this your first time? And I know it sounds, and you guys, it might be a little bit easier here because you might hone in and know every single person that's coming in and out. But if somebody has been coming like this has happened to me. Hey, my name's Madeline. What's your name? Is this your first time? And they're looking at me and they're like, no, I've been here since Christmas or like last year. And then they're like, "Ugh," and then they'll walk away. This is like real life stories. Or like, I shouldn't expose Pastor Carl. But he's done this because he stands at the door on the way out and he's like, oh, hey, first time? And they're like, no, this is our home church, Pastor Carl. And so we just, to avoid it all together, don't say, hey, is this your first time? And try to refrain from saying, wow, I've never seen you before. That communicates, hey, you're not worth being seen. I've never seen you before. You're like hidden in the background. You're not worth being seen. But that's not what you're saying. But we all know that people make stories. They create stories in their head. And so you want to circumvent that and let's just avoid it altogether. So again, I unashamedly, first time walking through the door and I know it's your first time. Hey, oh my gosh, remind me what your name is. And no one's ever batted an eye or done like an awful scruff like I don't feel seen. So, or this is the other phrase, how long have you been coming to Elim? You just assume they're a part of the family. You just happen to like slipped your mind what your name is. Hey, my name's Madeline. How long have you been coming to Elim? There you go. That's another one. So this is, this will be in the training notes or like it's filmed or whatever. So I need to remind even our regular guest care people. And listen, if you're on a team and everything went out the window and you just forget everything, you forget the phrases to refrain from, you just smile and say welcome. You can never fail. And remember, our smiles are going to transform people from the inside out. So that's greeted. Everybody's greeted with a smile. Usher, guest care team, everybody. So the next is to direct. So we kind of have a system, and I don't know, this will be practically where you guys have people stand, but we have ushers, and those would be our first set of front of house, our ushers. The usher's job is to open the doors, hand out the bulletins, smile, welcome, and guide and direct them. And so we have actually kind of trained our ushers to look out for folks that might look lost or new and actually guide them, because we have a little bit of a larger entrance area, guide them specifically to the table that says guest care. So that would be like first person has the ball, that's the usher. They're looking for new people, and they're smiling, greeting, and they're directing them to the guest counter, which is specifically for new people. Hey, you have kids? Let me take you where you can get them signed in. So they've said, hey, welcome. They've done their greet. Now it's time for them to do their direct, which is to take them to the kids' check-in. And we all know what the priorities are, too. So like kids sign in, top priority, because kids sign in shuts down. So first you have the usher. They welcome, they greeted, they're assessing. So after they're directing, so they determine, is this person going straight to getting their kids signed in and checked in? Or is this just a couple walked in, no kids? They can be directed right to the guest care center. And then the guest care team takes it from there. They do their thing. They greet, and then they direct. I love to stand on the guest care counter. Hey, welcome. Oh my gosh. I'm directing them, have you got your coffee yet? Because that's important, right? Or, hey, do you know where the washrooms are? That's not the usher's job, because the usher, you're going to have like 20 people flooding in at the same time. The ushers don't have all that time to run through. So first they're greeting, then they're directing. So it's all a team thing, right? So this is why everybody has to know everything. So the ushers, that's our ushers, right? So ushers hand out bulletins, smile, and if they recognize somebody new, they take them to the guest counter. Okay, now we're at the guest care counter. This is the guest care counter. We have, at our guest care, we always have, depending on how many you want, I always recommend minimum 2 ushers or whatever. At our guest care counter, minimum of 2. You get caught talking to somebody, you want to have like your teammate helping you out. Okay, guest care, they come. I always greet them, and I'm trying to collect information. So, hey, what's your name? I actually also have like a little notepad to write their name down. But if they're a family, like I've had a family of like 6 or 7 come, and I usually will give them like 2 to 3 bags. Not everybody gets a bag, or else that would be a lot of money. Roughly, how much is a bag? You know, what's in our bag is something to drink. Do you guys have guest pack bags? Okay. You've paused. Okay. It doesn't need to be this extravagant. You can do your version. But to have something that they can, wow, I got a gift. I love to give our first time guests a little gift. Because there's not like, well, there is sign something in here, but that's not the point. The point is like, oh my gosh, there's some goodies in here. We have a napkin and a gum. Then we have our mugs with a pen in it with our name on it. Again, doesn't have to say your name. You can go to the dollar store or whatever, but who doesn't love a tea or coffee or water? So this is the guest bag. Also in the guest bag is our pamphlet. Remember, communication, culture. So they get this guest pack, and inside, I'm just showing this for your guys' sake. We have 4 different pieces in this brochure. First thing is safe place policy. This is a big deal. So kids have parents. Am I sending my kids to a safe place? What are you doing to ensure that my child is safe? Oh, gosh. No one's ever asked this, but no problem. You can see right here, we got our safe place policy, what we do to make sure your kid, this is the safest place they can be. Police checks. They got to be at our church for 6 months. They do an interview process. We do like 2-to-1 kids. This is where the training will happen. Like your kid is never left alone in the room with the kid. There's a whole bathroom thing. So that's in there. Second piece is our values. So they saw our values on our website. They're getting it again. We have 7 values at Impact Church. And people are sitting down. They got something to read. What is impact value? Oh, wow. Connecting with me. Belonging, family, assist. This is good communication here. Next thing is this brochure. This is like, why do you raise your hand? There's a bunch of information here, like what are our missions? What do we believe? Our belief statements. And then fun questions like, why do you raise your hand? What is speaking in tongues? Because you can have somebody who has never grown up in the background of, speaking in tongues, Holy Spirit. So it's just, and then how to reach us. And then the last thing in here is our guest card. Do you guys have a guest card? Okay. So every church does it different. Some people are like, less is more. All I need is your name, your phone, and your email. We have the address on here because part of our guest care process that happens later on during the week is that we send them something in the mail. So on top of they have a nice welcome during the week, there's some like a fact, like if you contact a first-time church guest within 72 hours, it might you have a better chance of having them come back. So 72 hours later, I call them, I email them, and then we send them something in the mail, a Tim Hortons gift card. So that might not be even a handwritten card that you put in the mail is like, wow, geez, this church is they really see me, they really care about me, and I've had a good percentage of people email me back. Thank you so much. I got your gift in the mail. So again, culture, everything is in my card, it's a thank you card. Thank you for coming. It was really nice to have you. So all of that information is in there, but when somebody comes up to my guest care table, the only thing that I'm doing is I'm asking them their name. Again, I'm reading body language. If there's like, hey, thank you, I'm not going after them because they don't want to be bothered, right? I'm reading the cues. But if they're planning themselves here, some people walk up, what's this? Then they just grab it and take it. I'm like, hey, what's your name? And then the only thing that I say is, hey, we have a gift for you. If you would like, there is a guest card in here that you are welcome to fill out. It's all about language. Hey, there's a guest card in here if you want to fill it out. And I tell them where to put it. You just drop it in the offering bucket when it goes by, but no pressure. So my communication is very, relaxed. And so this is our guest care bag, and we have a guest care table. It's filled with these guest packs, and this is the sign, and we stand in front of it, and we have a name tag says, how can I help you? So, but again, I'm greeting and I'm directing. If a family shows up to my table and they made it past the ushers and the ushers didn't direct them, I'm going to direct them straight to the kids check-in. Hey, get your kids checked in and then come see me after. So this will be really unique to Elim system, like in you guys, like whatever works for you. But everybody is on the same page with the guest process. And even the deacons too, like they know. Mr. Desmond, that big man, he knows where to find the guest packs. He knows how to where to find kids check-in and all of that. So the next thing is treated. So show respect and happily surprise guests with comforter food or drink. So we have a cafe, you guys do this really well. Miss Karen was in here early making coffee. So every time we're here, I'm like, I know there's food and coffee. It's almost priority, which I really like, because it sets the tone. It's culture. It's like, come gather and fellowship around a table, and it's family. And in the New Testament, when Jesus is like, don't forsake the breaking of bread and the teaching of the word, I'm pretty sure. It's like, yes, we didn't forget the food. There's something powerful that happens around a table, around let's go for coffee. Eye-to-eye conversation, really good stuff, which you guys do really well. So, a first-time guest wants to feel respected and welcome. If you want to learn how to make visitors feel welcome, it's a good idea to take some cues from customer-conscious service world, which we talked about. Good businesses understand that treating a guest with respect and making sure that he has a good first experience is essential to winning a return visitor. Treated. I was listening to a podcast, and it was a TED Talk on customer service, and it was talking about this like amazing New York Michelin star restaurant. This is like a really high-end restaurant, and 5-6 months before you got to sign up to get into this restaurant. Oh gosh, they've have maybe only 20 dishes of this specific kind of fish that you can only get. Anyways, it's really extravagant, really special, right? So in this TED Talk, it was real life experience. This really nice New York restaurant. It was the owner, and he's talking about how he runs his guest care and his guest customer service. He had a customer come in one time, or this is what he does actually regularly, is he figures out ways when a family sits down in his restaurant, how can I make this family's experience better? So one time, this family comes in, it was around Christmas time, they're in New York, right? And they overhear their table talking about like, oh my gosh, we've never been to Times Square or been in like the buggy, like that horse and buggy, click, clack, chestnuts roasting on an open fire. And so they're listening, and he has trained his waiters and waitresses. You're paying attention. How can you create a really great guest experience? So what does he do? This restaurant has hired a runner. Almost like you can, whatever, fairy godmother, if you want to call it that. Just, he's hired a person, designated person, to help on the spot make their customers' experiences better. It's a runner. So this runner went and grabbed, I think they had literally called a carriage over, booked a carriage have it ready at the end of their dinner to come pick this family up. And they're like, oh, we have to fly out tomorrow morning. Whatever. Pick them up, and at the end of their experience, at the end of the dinner, there was a horse and buggy carriage waiting to take them to Times Square just for like a picture or whatever. Click. And then another experience was like, oh my gosh, they overheard their customers, sitting down, the waiters come over. And they're like, how's your New York experience been? You've been here? They're like, oh my God, it was so great. We have to fly out tomorrow morning, and we didn't get a hot dog from this really famous hot dog stand. And they're thinking, oh my God, you're at like a Michelin star restaurant. What do you need a hot dog for? But yeah, guess what? They had that hired person, ran out, grabbed a hot dog from that hot dog stand, brought it. They served it really, in their fashion, whatever. But they served this guest a hot dog that they were really looking forward to. So not that we hire an extra person to go do all this stuff and spend money that's not the point. The point is what is the focus? How are you treating the guests when they come in? Coming back to everybody in your church is on the guest care team. If you see a black bag, that is your cue to go and meet another human. Like, and maybe this is a big extrovert talking, like, I just love humans. So I'm like, that might not be your thing, but it doesn't have to be extravagant. Hey, I just saw you had a black bag. I just want to come over and introduce myself. That's it. Carrie Nyhoff says, it's hard to believe. First-time guests to your church make up their minds whether they're going to come back or not within the first 10 minutes of their visit. You guys are all really lovely. I'd come back here for sure. Okay, the last thing is seated. So, yes, lead guests to a comfortable and appropriate seat. Your goal is to make your first-time guests as comfortable and as happy as possible. So I found, my mom actually sent this, shout out mom, this really awesome video on ushers. This just found it really encouraging, so.
Saw the tent and they saw the commotion of people and they heard this bold love of the Father preaching. They just happened to be walking by and they're like, huh. But as they walk up, they see there are no seats available. But as they walk away, an usher whose name no one knows to this day, an usher ran after these two 14-year-old boys and grabbed one of them and he said, hey, we can find 2 seats for you boys together. And he walked them back, asked a couple people to scoot over, and found those two 14-year-old boys seats. That day, they ended up giving their lives to Christ and consecrating themselves to the purposes of God in their generation. One of those boys was a man we now know as Billy Graham. Billy Graham ended up preaching the gospel to more people than anyone else has ever preached to in the history of the world. Tens of millions of people were caught up into the kingdom of God under the preaching of Billy Graham. The other boy's name was Grady Wilson, and he was the man that ended up helping Billy Graham organize all of his evangelistic crusades. He changed the world. Not Billy Graham, not Grady Wilson, not Mordecai Ham. The usher. That one man that saw two 14-year-old boys walking away from the faith and said, not on my watch. You get back here, boys. Your job is not to change the world. Your job is to change somebody's world. And if you're in my generation and up, we got a job to do. Our job is to run into the breach. There has been a breach. Our job is to run into the breach and say, not on our watch. Not while we're here. Where are the bullets the thickest? I'm in.
This story is really profound.
Woo!
You gotta watch this.
Getting ready to tell you.
Don't you just want to be the best seater in the world? No. That's just like, yes. Anyways, I love it. So, again, revival is coming, and we're going to have people flooding. And so as usher, deacon, whatever, this is our deacons and our ushers are trained to do this. We see a family of like 6 walk in, and they're kind of like wandering because it's middle of worship. We have people trained to like walk through the aisles, look for 6. And this is a job you do with confidence, because you might have to ask somebody like, hey, would you mind just moving over a seat, or whatever. And then you just want to help seat people. Again, all about body language, but you're always like, you're kind of on duty, like as a part, you're just not walking through the aisles during worship, but you're cognizant, you're aware of where the holes are, where the spots are, where is it more empty, where can I guide people or help seat people so that they're comfortable. And they're not the ones searching in the dark in a sanctuary that they've never been in an atmosphere they've never been in. That's your job, how can I help you? Let me even help you get seated after the cafe person. Just help them get their coffee. So, we have our deacons and our ushers help to seat people. So, all right. Where to position, you guys can decide where you want to put everybody to help make the flow go really, really well. But we have recently gone some renovations in our foyer. And so we have strategically placed all of the check-in points, the guest care, the kids sign in, so that it's not doesn't feel jagged. Like you walk in and you can feel the flow of some hotels, some malls, some resorts. It's like, they've really thought this out, and I haven't done the research, but I know that there is science that makes people return and like feel good about the process, you know? We had our guest care after our renovations lodged somewhere in the back corner, and I had somebody on my guest care team said, "This isn't it. We're way too tucked away. The door's over there. By the time they have the courage to like, oh my God, I got to get my coffee. They're telling me to get my coffee, to then go all the way to the sanctuary. Then I'm telling them to come all the way back to just a second. You got to get your bag." They've already decided by the time they've passed that cafe head of the sanctuary, they're not coming to that guest care counter. There's no way. They're like, it's very large. I keep saying it's large. We were like, wow, this is a big foyer. Anyways, we get to run small groups in our foyer. Like we're going to run a games night. So it's all good. It's just important where things are placed, and signage is very important. This is new, and so we moved our guest care table right by that entrance. Like, it's welcome. The cafe is kind of off to the side, but we're in the B line. Like, you come in, and the first focal point is this sign. And so this is also communicating, like, when people walk in, they actually want to know, like, where can I find information? This is good. This is like, oh, yes, this is a starting point, you know? When I go to the mall, I look for that tall sign. It's like, you are here. I'm like, yeah, where am I? Where do I need to go? So it's good. Another important note about guest care is names. I really covertly have a notepad and a pen. And even though I'm not scheduled every Sunday, I'm at the guest care every Sunday, and guests will come, I'll ask them their names, and the second they walk away, because I'm not like, hey, sign your name here. What's your name? You know, what's your name? I didn't get that. We don't do that. It's more like they walk away. And with my team, I'm like, did you catch their names? What's their names? And I write it down, because names are important. I've had feedback from guests. They tell me their name for the first time, and then like weeks later, I say, hey, Linda. Hey, Lynn and Daryl. They're like, oh my gosh, you remembered our names. This is the other thing. At our church, maybe for you guys too, it's becoming very multicultural, and there are names that I am not used to pronouncing. That doesn't mean that I give up. I'm like, hey, I'm human. This is not familiar to me. I lean in. I'm like, hey, can you repeat that? And then I will do my best, honestly, to remember their names. And when they walk away, I will write what I think I heard. And often when I get that guest card back, I am able to kind of figure it out. And the other thing is I write descriptions. So this might be like, again, like we're a little bit larger, but these are good systems to kind of have in the back of my mind, or ways to train. I forget easily, so I will write like red dress and like boots, or I'll like mom with 2 kids, or I like over 50, or I'll write like teenager, just to help me remember people's names, and I will stick it right beside their names. The amount of time, and we take attendance also every single Sunday. Like, I have a printed attendance every week of 525 names, and I eventually, when everyone's in the house worshiping and praising, we go through name by name, person by person, child by child, and I'm like, the Adiyamo family is here. You know, the Sedusta family, they're here. Because it's important to us. Names are important. And so, you know, there are different systems for churches of 1,000, which that's what we get to look at next. But for a church of this size, you can do it. Memorize all the names of everybody and who they are. Even if the name is not familiar to you and you're having trouble, it's amazing, because I'm not there, and I know when I come to I was away last week off work. I came to my guest care station, and I just knew I was ready for a notepad of names, because I've trained my guest care team. After every time somebody leaves, I'm like, what was their name? And it's almost like the culture. I'm like, hey, names are important. What's their name? Did you get their name? And so then on staff meeting, I'm like, oh, I know that name. And then, so we're in staff meeting, we do this all the time. Someone's describing a family to me. They're like, yes, a woman, she kind of limps. You know, she has 2 kids, and she's only come. I'm like, that's testimony. And testimony's only been to our church, only been to Wednesday small group. But because I have eyes for it and I've made it and done this intentionally, I'm like, it becomes almost, you're like, yes, I know exactly who that is. And then it helps us piece together who is who so that we can connect with them. Because it's important. We're a family, right? Families, you learn people's names. The other notes is keep the entrance flowing, which you guys, probably do really well. But if there's like a clog somewhere, our deacons are really good at this. They're just like, one of the deacons' titles, keep the entrance flowing, keep everything flowing. They are almost attuned to see like if there's a spill, a crash, or something is not streamlined. They're going in, how can I help? And then like, let's redirect. Or if I'm caught up, we're 2 guest care teams, we're caught up chatting with somebody, and a deacon or an usher is bringing somebody over, Mr. Desmond has grabbed a guest pack and he knows our process. So he does it. Yes. 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 I like what you said, that it's internally. It is like we're not trying to break policy. We don't hand out information. We don't hand out names. All of our volunteers sign a confidentiality agreement, so people are aware. So we're doing this really safely. So we actually have, this past year, I actually have a couple. They're on my guest care team, but they're retired, so they have time. Every Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, we meet. We pray over the attendance, and we've highlighted, and I can't take credit. This is Pastor Carl. He's like, we got to get efficient with this. And so I've highlighted, one color highlighter, August 10th, highlight all the names on the over 500 attendants, who we haven't seen, who has had surgery, who has had like a kid going to school, and we call them. Like and this is what they do. This is our volunteer team. Is they call and they pick up, hey, how's it going? You're on our minds. What's going on? How can I pray for you? We've sent flowers. Somebody had chemo, and we sent them flowers after they had chemo or something like that. So that's what it's for. That's what these structures are for. They're all on purpose. They have a purpose. So, okay. Anybody have any questions for this? Oh, yeah, the other thing, this is the last thing I want to say, which you guys, again, you're probably already do this, is know who is on your team that morning. So, I can't tell you the amount of times I'm like, who's the deacon on? I need to know who the deacon on. There's a spill. So I know who to look for. Most of the time, every volunteer is wearing a name tag that the morning they're serving. But even our ushers, like if our ushers are on, they can guide in who's on kids sign in. I need to connect them. Hey, Sally, this is Bob. He's on the kids check-in team. He's going to help you from here. I've passed them off. I've directed them, and then I can go back to what I was doing. So this is all teamwork, right? I get a front of house. It's good to know who's on your team that morning, so you guys are all aware to know who you can direct your guests to. So does anybody have any questions? Yes. Yes. From 0 to 11, if there's a child 0 to 11, we direct them to the kids sign-in station. If they say our kids are okay, and you guys are going to have your own sign-in policy. If they say, oh, we're okay, our kids are going to stay with us, that's all right, and I always let them know. Kids sign-in does usually close by this time, and so if you think that they're going to go in, you're welcome to sign them in. You don't have to put them in, but just so that that's there. The other thing is we have stay in service kids because our kids check-in closes. And so for, again, safety reasons, like we have classes of 40 kids with like 2 adults and just like 2 kids watching them. If you're in the middle of a game lesson, things are flying around, and a kid gets thrown into the room, there was no, welcome, hey, so happy you're here, and you're bringing all the kids in. So door opens, new family, 20 minutes in, the lesson's going, 40 kids. And you just then now have to have one teacher break their attention away from the group. And then there could be something then happens over here, right? it's really interrupted, and we have chosen to close kids church down. So we have a family come in 40 minutes late to church. They have kids. We still want to serve the family, so we have stay and service kits. They're these small boxes, plastic boxes, container. You have a snack, you have coloring, you have some toys and everything. So that and Mr. Desmond again. I should have brought Mr. Desmond. He knows where to find them at the kids sign-in station here, and there's a label that says please return after the service right here or whatever. And so that's one way we serve the families, is that they're welcome to stay in the service, but we want them to have a snack and stuff like that. So that's the kids sign-in. Do you guys have any questions about the guest welcoming process? I have two per Sunday, and we have 4 teams. We do it on a 4-team rotation. So team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4. There's 2 people on every. I find that I need 3. Our ushers, yeah, they should be like team of 5 each, because there's so many points of welcoming and directing. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh, even like a stand-up sign like this, like it could be something smaller. Oh yeah. Or even like 2 people standing like info booth or something. 2 people with name tags and just a small sign that says info booth or welcome. Just as like, but yeah, one of the things is signage. Oh yes, okay. All of our front of house people, other than the deacons, half an hour before service starts and 20 minutes after service starts. That's when you're at your post. So that's what I tell. Because then, and it depending on, for you, it might depend, like when are people getting here? Like if no one's showing up, then you can say 22. 20 to service, 20 after. Our ushers have unique duties. They also do the offering time. I have really 5-star guest care people, so they're like, oh, I'm on the whole day. After service, I come to my post, and I'm like meeting people on the way out. So, yes. Yeah, everybody, anyone serving has this. Kids church team, minus the worship team. Deacons, ushers, cafe, we make sure. So again, my name's on it. So the names are important, right? It's even there on the name tag, so. Any questions or thoughts even? Yes? That's a good question. If you want, I'd say that's a personal, it will be unique to your house, to your church. We've had some people come and ask where the Bibles are. We have a small kind of bookshelf in the office. Yeah, I'd like to, like, who am I giving a Bible to? Like, discipleship's important. So I usually say, oh my gosh, I'd love to grab you one. Who's this for? Yeah, the other thing we have to do is get a cross on our wall somewhere. We just finished renovating, and everything's freshly painted and stuff, and we're like, we need a cross in the entrance somewhere. So what are we into, a business building? No, we're a church. Yeah, even, you can put stand a Bible up, like get a little, whatever you guys want to do. You could even have have an arrow up, kids, arrow down, washrooms, and then like slanted like sanctuary or something. Yeah, so we have done, there's a printing company that comes in and puts decals straight on the walls. Like just black, it'd be like sanctuary, and it's just like a stick, but it's professional. that kind of concludes this portion. So I think we're going to take like a half an hour break or whatever, eat some stuff, and then we'll be back at we'll be back at it by noon. And then it'll just be an hour after that, noon to 1. So awesome. Thanks, guys.